All right, today let's talk about one of the most ambitious projects happening in Southeast Asia right now, Malaysia's East Coast Rail Link. Now, this is way more than just a new set of train tracks. We're talking about a massive multi-billion-dollar bet that's designed to literally reshape the country's entire economic map. So, to really get why this project is such a big deal, you first got to understand Malaysia. I mean, it's a fast-growing, really diverse economy. And as this quote points out, its geography is, well, it's a huge advantage. It's sitting right at the crossroads of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. But here's the thing. Underneath all that success, there's a pretty big problem, a fundamental imbalance. And that imbalance? Well, it's basically a tale of two coasts. You've got this deep economic divide that slices right down the middle of peninsular Malaysia. See, Malaysia as a whole, it's done incredibly well. It's become a real economic powerhouse. But that prosperity, that wealth, it hasn't been spread out evenly at all. There's this massive, stark difference between the two sides of the peninsula. Okay, so picture this. On one side, you've got the West Coast. That's the nation's economic engine, right? It's where you find the big cities like Kuala Lumpur, all the busy ports, the top-notch infrastructure. But then you look at the East Coast, and it's a totally different story. It's packed with natural resources, has this incredibly strong cultural heritage, beautiful beaches, but it's just much, much less developed. It's not as connected. And that is the exact problem this new railway is supposed to fix. So, what's the grand solution? Well, it's the East Coast Rail Link, or, as you'll hear it called, the ECRL. And let's be clear, we're not just talking about a simple transportation project here. This is being pitched as a true nation-building effort. So what is it really? Well, at its heart, the ECRL is like a 665-kilometer steel artery. It's being built to physically and, just as importantly, economically, connect those less developed East Coast states. We're talking Kelantan, Terengganu, and Pahang, with the powerhouse West Coast. The whole idea is to create this seamless flow of both people and goods back and forth. And just think about the impact on travel alone. A trip from the East Coast to near Kuala Lumpur. By car, that can take you over 7, maybe 8 hours. With this new rail link, it's going to be slashed to just 4 hours. That is an absolute game changer for business, for tourism, for just visiting family. All right, let's dig into the numbers for a second. We're talking passenger trains zipping along at 160 kilometers per hour. And they're expecting over 5 million people to be riding this thing by 2030. So yeah, by any standard, this is a massive undertaking. It's designed to be a real workhorse for both passengers and heavy freight, connecting Port Klang all the way over on the west coast, straight across to Kota Baru on the east. But, a project this huge, it's never a straight line, is it? And the journey for the ECRL, from just an idea to actual construction, it has been a wild political roller coaster. I mean, just look at this timeline. It tells you everything you need to know. Construction kicks off in 2017. Then, boom, a year later, it's suspended because of a change in government. Then, in 2019, they change the route, only to change it back again in 2021. And every single one of these changes, it wasn't just about delays. It sparked huge public debates and added massive costs to a project that was already incredibly expensive to begin with. And all of this really brings us to the central conflict of this whole story, right? It's this massive tension between the incredible hopes that are riding on this railway and the unbelievably high stakes. So let's start with those stakes. The price tag right now is sitting at over 50 billion Malaysian ringgit. That's a staggering amount of money. It's a truly monumental investment. It's a national bet, pure and simple. So for all that money, what's the payoff? What is Malaysia actually hoping to get? Well, it really boils down to 3 big things. First, logistics. The hope is to ease up that terrible road traffic and create a new land bridge for trade. Second, the economy. The idea is to kickstart all kinds of new industrial and tourism development along that East Coast. And third, the environment. Shifting all that traffic from roads to electric rail is a much greener way to go. But that raises a really important and kind of scary question. With a project this massive, one that's heavily financed by a foreign power, in this case China, what happens if it doesn't work out? What if those projections are wrong? Well, to get a sense of the risks involved, you can just look next door at Indonesia. They've got their Whoosh high-speed rail, which is another gigantic project built with Chinese funding. And honestly, it serves as a pretty powerful, very real-world cautionary tale. And this quote? It's a pretty stark warning from a former Indonesian minister.
What he's saying is, look, if the money from ticket sales doesn't cover the huge debt, guess who has to pay? The government, the state. And the biggest fear here isn't just about the money, it's geopolitical. It's the risk of having to give up control of strategic assets, like territory, just to pay back the loan. That's the huge gamble that hangs over every single one of these megaprojects.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about the high-level risks, but what is this actually going to feel like for the people living in Malaysia? What does the ECRL mean for just everyday life? You know, this quote just nails it. It really captures the lifestyle change we're talking about. Imagine you're living in the middle of bustling Kuala Lumpur. Those amazing, beautiful beaches on the East Coast, they used to be a really long, painful drive away. Suddenly, they're just a quick 2-hour train ride. That completely opens up a new world for weekend getaways and for tourism. And that right there is the heart of it. It's about the personal experience. It means swapping a stressful, traffic jam drive for a relaxed, comfortable journey. It's about convenience. It's about making life simpler. It's about getting your time back. So, when you look at it that way, the ECRL is so much more than just tracks and stations, isn't it? It's really about strengthening the very connections that hold the country together, making it easier for people to see their families, to do business from one coast to the other, and, maybe most importantly, for everyone to get a chance to experience the incredible culture and natural beauty of the East Coast. Which brings us back to the big question at the heart of all this. The ECRL is a 665-kilometer, multi-billion-dollar bet on the future of Malaysia. So will it be the project that finally connects and enriches the entire nation? Or could it become a very, very costly lesson? The potential rewards are huge, but the risks are just as real. And honestly, only time is going to tell.